I think you can start. It's showing live on Facebook.
Good evening, all. We, on behalf of the National Council of Women Leaders, welcome everyone to this very important discussion on caste-based sexual violence. We have 5 of our founding members with us today. Professor Sujata Surepalli from Satvahana University, Telangana. Advocate Payal Gaikwad, who has a practice in the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Advocate Savita Ali, who practices in the Bihar High Court as well as is the director of Bihar Legal Network, and Manjula Pradeep, an activist associated with THRDNet, Wave Foundation, and several other organizations. The session will be moderated by Professor Shuli Kumar from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Professor Shuli will take over the session now.
Thank you, Devarati. Welcome to everybody, and today we are talking about something that's very critical, and it's like a illness that is besetting our society and country, and it's imperative that we discuss this issue at length at this point of time, because we know that caste-based sexual violence is used by men of dominant communities as a weapon to subordinate and oppress Dalit women. But that's not all. It is also, there is a clear pattern regarding this oppression. And this oppression is utilized when Dalits assert their rights over land or any other resource that they have, and they protest against the dominant caste group people to take over those resources. At that point of time, if you look at all the cases, at that point of time, it is the dominant caste group men. They perpetuate completely inhumane forms of sexual violence against the Dalit women, making them signifiers of that community. And so this kind of violence serves as its purpose in terms of trying to humiliate and create very, very dehumanizing situations for the Dalit families and their near and dear ones. We cannot negate the fact that a government report, that is the NCRB report, reports that there has been an escalation of violence against scheduled caste community women and children. And from 2017 to 2019, what we are finding is that there is an increasing rate by 15% over these years. And most of all, what is significant is while the conviction rate is as low as 26%, the pendency rate is 84%, which is a telling data of how Dalit women's issues, the sexual violence issues, are not being taken seriously by the system, by the people who are supposed to provide justice, who are supposed to ensure that the perpetrators are convicted, and who are supposed to provide some kind of closure to the victims and their families. Clearly, our country is not doing enough, and therefore there is a need for this kind of a campaign against caste-based sexual violence. I would like to invite Manjula to talk about why did we go ahead and begin the process of addressing this form of violence and set up the National Council for Women Leaders. What was the inspiration of bringing together these women leaders and to start addressing these formats of sexual violence, which in a country like ours, we cannot tolerate anymore? Thank you, Manjula.
Thanks, Shivli. Good evening, friends. Jai Bhim to all. I think it's a very important day for all of us, and that's why we all are here. As Shivli said, National Council of Women Leaders and all of us who are here and many more, there are more than 70 women who are part of this council, which was registered just in February. So it's almost like 4 months old. It's a small baby, but which has blooming. And that's why we want to share why we incepted the idea of setting up a National Council of Women Leaders. नेशनल काउंसिल ऑफ वुमेन लीडर्स इसलिए हमने स्थापित किया कि हमने एक चीज देखी कि मेरा जो भी काम है 30 सालों का, उसमें अगर हम देखते हैं तो एक तरफ जो ग्रास रूट पे महिलाएं हैं, जो मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटीज की महिलाएं हैं, एंड देन वी हैव एकेडमिशियंस जो बहुत अध्ययन करके जो इशू स्पेसिफिक स्टडीज करते हैं. कहीं पे ऐसा भी देखा गया है कि एक तरफ जो ग्रास रूट वुमेन है, जो अपना काम कर रही हैं, जो एक्टिविस्ट है, they are working very strongly and addressing several issues of subjugation or oppression of rights of marginalized women. But कहीं पे ऐसा भी notice हुआ है कि their rights or their work is not being highlighted and their issues are not being studied effectively. तो ऐसा भी एक सोच खड़ी हुई कि क्या हम एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट करें जहां पर एकेडमिशियंस जो सेंसिटिव हैं एंड दोज हु आर वुमेन फ्रॉम डिफरेंट कम्युनिटीज, जो इन मुद्दों के साथ जुड़ के काम करने की तैयारी रखते हैं और जिनका एक अनुभव है, उनको ग्रास रूट वुमेन के साथ जोड़े. बट हु आर दिस ग्रास रूट वुमेन? दे आर नॉट फ्रॉम any women ग्रास रूट activists, but they are from the marginalized community. I think that is very important. अभी क्या है भारत में शिवली के हमारा जो हमारे जो नेटवर्क्स हैं वो बहुत आइडेंटिटी बेस्ड हो गए हैं. तो एक पर्टिकुलर आइडेंटिटी का एक नेटवर्क बनता है दूसरी आइडेंटिटी का, और हम भी उस ऐसे नेटवर्क के साथ जुड़े थे. लेकिन अल्टीमेटली द नीड इज to come together on a common platform with a common objective, with a common agenda. So it's like Dalit women, Adivasi women, Muslim women, trans women, women who work for the rights of sex workers. I think ये सबको जोड़ने की बात हमने जब प्लान किया, and as you know that last year we had a national convention of women right defenders in Ahmedabad in January, and I think that conference was, I think, beginning of this process, and you were also there and many of our friends were there. और उसमें हमने एक जो हमारे जो घटक हमने डिसाइड किए कि how do we want to move ahead, what kind of platform do we want. We can't just work like in our own organizations, but we have to come as individuals. तो नेशनल काउंसिल ऑफ वुमेन लीडर्स है वो हम सबको जोड़ता है as members, as individuals, with our own expertise, with our own backgrounds, with our own knowledge and understanding, and respecting each other. I think that is very important. And we are not creating any boundaries around us. We are trying to bring as many women from the marginalized communities with a common goal and objective to build up and strengthen the leadership of grassroots women at the grassroots, but also make them nationally and internationally recognized, because ultimately the struggle of the marginalized women should not just remain on the ground. It should be seen, visibilized, and there's a need to do a lot of effective research, action research, and also to highlight the issues. So that's why we plan to set up this National Council of Women Leaders. Thanks. Yeah.
थैंक यू मंजिला जी. ये बात बिल्कुल सच्ची है कि और एनसीडब्ल्यू का ये एक सपना है, और अभी धीरे धीरे हमको दिख भी रहा है ये जुड़ान से कि बहुत सारे मार्जिनलाइज्ड ग्रुप्स के जो विमेन हैं जो बहुत बहुत मेहनत से काम कर रहे हैं, किस प्रकार से वोकल होकर आगे आ रही है, और हमारा बहुत फेथ है इस इनके लीडरशिप में. और इन्हीं जैसी एक लीडर सविता जी हैं, और जो आज यहाँ पर हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं. उनका काम जितना भी हम बताएं शायद कम होगा. जिस तरह से वो लड़ रही है दलित महिलाओं के अत्याचार के खिलाफ, पटना हाईकोर्ट पे केसेस जाते हैं, लीगल एड देती हैं, और इमीडिएट रिड्रेस के लिए कहीं भी हादसा होता है बिहार में वहां पहुंच जाती है. सविता जी, आपसे एक सवाल है कि चूंकि आप दलित महिलाओं के साथ लगातार काम करते आ रही हैं, उनकी जो रिड्रेसल प्रोसेस है, उनको जो सहायता चाहिए जुडिशरी से, पुलिस से और मेडिकल सिस्टम से, वहाँ पर क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आती है, क्या क्या ऑब्स्टेकल्स आती है, उस पर कुछ बात आप बताएंगे क्या? आगे ले जाएंगे हमारे इस बातचीत को. सविता जी, आप अपना उसको अनम्यूट करिए.
ओके, थैंक यू सेवली. सभी को जय भीम, सलाम. एकदम सही कहा है कि जब भी हमारी दलित महिलाओं के साथ कोई भी घटना या केस होती है, उसको रजिस्टर्ड करने के लिए ही परिवार वाले सोचते हैं, डर जाते हैं कि हम जब थाना में जाएंगे, सबसे पहली शुरुआत थाना में ही होती है. और जब वो थाना में वो जाने की एक हिम्मत जुटा के वहां तक पहुंचते हैं, तो थाना में देखना पड़ता है कि कैसी लैंग्वेज यूज होती है, खासकर दलित महिलाओं से रिलेटेड. और उनके केसेस में उनकी एफआईआर दर्ज नहीं की जाती है, पहले ही कदम पे उनको वापस भगा दिया जाता है. बहुत बैड वर्ड्स यूज किए जाते हैं महिलाओं के प्रति. यहाँ तक भी कहा जाता है कि जो दलित महिलाएं हैं वो अपने खुद से रेप करवाती हैं और मुआवजा पाने के लिए, क्योंकि SC/ST एक्ट में एक कंपनसेशन, एक मुआवजा है, वो पाने के लिए वो लोग इस तरह के बलात्कार के केसेस हो या गैंग रेप हो वो अपने आप से करवाते हैं और यहाँ पे आ जाते हैं FIR करवाने के लिए। इसका सबसे बड़ा एविडेंस ये है कि जब भी कोई दलित महिला के ऊपर हिंसा होती है और जो वो थाना में जाते हैं तो उसके ऊपर सबसे पहले काउंटर केस भी किया जाता है। अभी तक अगर हम 10 महिलाओं के केसेस को फैक्ट फाइंडिंग कर रहे हैं, उसमें से 9 महिलाओं के ऊपर काउंटर केसेस हैं कि वो चोरी करने के लिए आई थी या फिर वो वहां पे उनके घर में कुछ पड़ा हुआ था उसको उठाने आई थी। ज्यादातर मोस्टली चोरी के इल्जाम उनके ऊपर लगाए जाते हैं। तो जो वो रेप इतना बड़ा हीनियस जो इंसिडेंट है, जो क्राइम है, उसको हाइड करते हुए पूरा का पूरा जो फोकस है वो चोरी पे चला जाता है। क्या दिखता है कि हमारी जो सर्वाइवर है, जो विक्टिम है, उसके फैमिली है वो जेल में दिखते हैं और जो गैंग रेप और रेप करने वाले जो अक्यूज्ड हैं वो बाहर खुलेआम घूमते हैं। उसके बाद अब आते हैं कोर्ट में। कोर्ट में जब बेल के लिए जाते हैं, SC/ST एक्ट में बेल लेना बहुत मुश्किल है। उसमें आप के लिए एक ठोस जब तक ग्राउंड नहीं है बेल नहीं आपको मिल सकती है, लेकिन यहाँ पे भी उनको तुरंत बेल दे दिया जाता है SC/ST केसेस में। और अब बेल के भी जब आप ऑर्डर्स देखेंगे कोर्ट के कि क्यों उनको किस ग्राउंड पे बेल मिला है, वो बहुत क्लियर है कि रेप नहीं है। जो भी मेडिकल रिपोर्ट है और उस रिपोर्ट में बहुत क्लियरली नहीं लिखा होता है कि उसमें रेप शब्द यूज नहीं करते हैं डॉक्टर, किसके साथ रेप हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है। वो सिर्फ एक जायजा बताते हैं कि हमको किस कंडीशन में लड़की का मेडिकल किया है, इंटरनल इंजरी नहीं है या फिर एक्सटर्नल इंजरी कितना है, उसके ही लेवल पे रेप है या नहीं है वो डिसाइड किया जाता है। और कभी कभी पे 2 फिंगर टेस्ट, जो कि प्रैक्टिस में 2 फिंगर टेस्ट रेप विक्टिम लड़कियों के किए जाते हैं बजाता, और फिर फाइनली उनको हैब्यूचुअल बताया जाता है कि वो हैब्यूचुअल है, इसीलिए उसको रेप हो ही नहीं सकता है क्योंकि सी हैब्यूचुअल। तो अभी ये देखने की जरूरत है कि जो हमारा थाना है कि पहले कदम पे हमको इतने मुश्किल होते हैं FIR दर्ज करवाने में, लोगों की मदद की जरूरत पड़ती है कि सही से सेक्शन लगाए। अगर रेप केस हुआ है तो उसको 354 लगा के हटा देते हैं। अगर छेड़खानी हुई है या फिर गैंग रेप हुए तो अटेम्प्ट दिखा देते हैं। तो किस तरह से पुलिस गुमराह करती है वो चीज देखने में हम लोगों को बहुत मिलती है। और अगर किसी केस में फाइनली सेक्शन एंड FIR अच्छे से हो जाता है तो कोर्ट में जाके वो लोग बेल पे छूट के अगेन उनके साथ रेप होते हैं। ऐसे भी केसेस हैं कि एक बार वो बेल से छूट के आए, फिर दोबारा उनके साथ रेप किया, फिर दोबारा वो जेल गए ही नहीं है, क्योंकि एक ही बार उनको अरेस्ट करना इतना मुश्किल होता है कि पुलिस अरेस्ट नहीं करती है। एक सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज ये मिली कि CRPC 42 के तहत थाना से ही बेल दे देते हैं केसेस में। जो हम लोगों ने लास्ट एक बार 2016 में पब्लिक हियरिंग की थी, उस पब्लिक हियरिंग में हमारे पास तकरीबन 30-40 SC केसेस आए थे, दलित केसेस। और इन दलित केसेस में महिलाओं के केसेस सबसे ज्यादा थे, मे बी 20-25 समथिंग। जब IGV का सेक्शन के पास हम लोग सारे केसेस को लेके गए एक बार कि किसी भी केस में मुआवजा नहीं है, किसी भी केस में अरेस्टिंग नहीं है, मोस्टली केसेस में काउंटर केसेस हैं, तब वहां पे ये पता चला कि जो अक्यूज्ड साइड है वो थाना से भी बेल उनको मिल जाती है। वो अपना पावर दिखाते हुए पुलिस अपने पावर से CRP 42 के पावर से वो उनको जेल के बाहर मतलब उसमें कोर्ट से पहले ही जेल थाना से ही ये बेल दे देते हैं। तो ये चीजें जब देखने में बनती हैं और जब फेस करते हैं एज एन एक्टिविस्ट, एज एन एडवोकेट इन सब चीजों को, तो फिर लगता है कि वो जो जस्टिस की हम लोग बात करते हैं वो बहुत बहुत मुश्किल है उसको उस न्याय को पाना और उस प्रोसेस में जाना। इसलिए मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ कि जो भी दलित एक्टिविस्ट हैं, दलित बहनें हैं, उनको ज्यादा से ज्यादा LLB करनी चाहिए ताकि एडवोकेट बन के वो कोर्ट के अंदर बैठे और फिर वहां पे देखे कि बहुत खाली जगह है, वहां पे कोई नहीं है हम लोगों के लिए लड़ने वाला। और दूसरा फिर अब आते हैं कमीशन पे, क्योंकि मैं कमीशन का भी एक इम्पोर्टेंट रोल मानती हूँ कि हमारे जो इतने सारे आयोग बनाए हुए हैं, महिला आयोग है, BHRC है, बिहार ह्यूमन कमीशन, SC आयोग है, माइनॉरिटी कमीशन है, अभी बिहार विकास मिशन है, तो ऐसे कर करके इतने सारे आयोग बने हैं। तो इन आयोग का जो एक रोल होना चाहिए था कि इनको अगर कोई भी विक्टिम या कोई सर्वाइवर इनके पास आते हैं तो एटलीस्ट ये वहां पे उनको मदद करे, सुमोटो लेके कुछ एक्शन दिखाए या फिर ये अपना एक रिपोर्ट तैयार करें। लेकिन ये भी एकदम 0% है बिहार में, खासकर कोई भी कमीशन। मैं और स्टेट की बात बिल्कुल नहीं करूंगी अभी, क्योंकि मैं बिहार में काम कर रही तो बिहार का ही बता पाऊंगी। एकदम 0 रोल रहा है कमीशन का, इतने इनएक्टिव। तो फिर क्या मतलब है वहां पे चेयरमैन रखने का, आयोग बनाने के, जब उन आयोग से किसी पीड़ित को, किसी सर्वाइवर को मदद मिल ही नहीं रही है। जी
धन्यवाद सविता जी। और बहुत सारी जो आपने बताई है, जैसे कि रीविक्टिमाइजेशन होता है दलित महिला का, जिस प्रकार से FIR नहीं रजिस्टर होता है और जिस प्रकार से दूसरे आर्टिकल्स को यूज करके बेल दिया जाता है, ये सारी चीजें इंगित करती है कि सिस्टमिक इनजस्टिस है और जस्टिस तो मिल ही नहीं रहा है। जस्टिस का एक्सेस करने में कितनी सारी समस्याएं आ रही हैं। तो और जो दलित एडवोकेट्स हैं वो किस प्रकार की समस्याएं हैंडल कर रही हैं, उनको किस प्रकार की प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही है। डेफिनेटली मेडिकल फ्रेटर्निटी को भी हमें अप्रोच करना चाहिए कि सही प्रकार से एग्जामिनेशन कराएं, सही प्रकार का रिपोर्ट बनाएं। तो कहीं ना कहीं पे कई स्तरों पर समस्याएं हैं जो दिखाता है कि दलित अट्रॉसिटी और महिला सेक्सुअल वायलेंस पर कोई भी काम नहीं करना चाहता है। कहीं ना कहीं पर ये इंगित करता है। मैं अब हमारी एक और एक्टिविस्ट है पायल, उनसे बात करना चाहूंगी, उनसे सवाल करना चाहूंगी, क्योंकि वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में अपने हाईएस्ट लेवल ऑफ जस्टिस पे वो काम कर रही हैं। तो मैं जानना चाहूंगी कि इतने सालों से ग्राउंड में भी उन्होंने काम किया है एंड शी हैज हैंडल्ड केसेस ऑफ सेक्सुअल वायलेंस। क्या आप जो SC/ST अट्रॉसिटीज एक्ट है, कैन यू शेड सम लाइट on its strengths and limitations, and most of all in the light of the latest efforts to try and dilute its provisions? We need to know all that, so please shed some light on that. You will have to unmute yourself, Payal.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shivlidi. Jai Bhim to everyone. जब SC/ST एक्ट की बात करते हैं तो इन रेप केसेस सबसे पहले ये देखा जाता है कि पुलिस लोग SC/ST एक्ट को लगाने में, मींस उस केस में SC/ST एक्ट को लगाने के मींस लाइक दे आर नॉट विलिंग टू डू इट. So first we'll see what is it. What is SC/ST Act? It is aimed at countering multifarious ways in which caste discrimination is played out. It is a criminal law that punishes caste-based atrocities against the members of SC/ST communities by non-SC/ST persons. In fact, SC/ST Act 1989 was enacted by Parliament when the existing laws like Indian Penal Code and Protection of Civil Rights Act were found inadequate to keep check on the crimes. जब स्ट्रेंथ की बात करते हैं तो अगर हम देखते हैं कि जो अमेंडमेंट 2015 में हुआ था और जो अमेंडमेंट फिर बाद में 2018 में हुआ था, वो केस के बाद, पृथ्वीराज सिंह चौहान केस के बाद जो अमेंडमेंट 2018 में हुआ था, वो सारी हमारे SC/ST एक्ट की स्ट्रेंथ ही है. कुछ मैं बता देती हूँ आज. जैसे द एक्ट आउटलाइंस एक्शन बाय non-SC/STs against SCs and STs to be treated as offense. So some new categories of actions are garlanding with footwear, compelling to dispose or carry human or animal carcasses, or do manual scavenging, abusing SCs and STs by caste name in public, attempting to promote feelings of ill will against SCs, STs, or disrespecting any deceased person held in high esteem, imposing or threatening a social or economic boycott, to mention few. Second है assaulting or sexual exploiting an SC and ST women is an offense under the Act. Intentionally touching an SC or ST woman in a sexual manner without her consent, or using words, acts, or gestures of a sexual nature, or dedicating an SC or ST woman as a devdasi to a temple or any similar practice will also be considered an offense. Here, consent is defined as voluntary agreement through verbal or non-verbal communication. Preventing SCs or STs from undertaking, from using common property resources, entering any place of worship that is open to the public, and entering an education or health institution भी उसमें आता है. उसके बाद addition of presumption to the offenses. उसमें बोला जाता है कि the court shall presume that the accused was aware of the caste or tribal identity of the victim if the accused had personal knowledge of the victim or his family, unless the contrary is proved. फिर role of public servants भी आता है उसमें. The act specifies that the non-SC or ST public servant who neglects his or her duties relating to SCs or STs shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term of 6 months to 1 year. The Amendment Act specifies these duties, including registering a complaint or FIR, reading out information given orally before taking the signature of the informant, and giving a copy of this information to the informant, etc. Addition to this, certain IPC offences like hurt, grievous hurt, intimidation, kidnapping, etc., attracting less than 10 years of imprisonment committed against members of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes as offences punishable under the Prevention of Atrocity Act. Presently, only those offences listed in IPC as attracting punishment of 10 years or more and committed on members of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe are accepted as offences falling under the Prevention of Atrocity Act. Establishment of exclusive special courts and specification of exclusive special public prosecutor also to exclusively try the offences under the Prevention of Atrocity Act to enable speedy and expeditious disposal of cases. There are certain rights of victims and witnesses which is mentioned in amendment of 2015. So the Amendment Act adds chapter on the rights of victims and witnesses. It shall be the duty of the state to make arrangements for the protection of victims, their dependents, and witnesses. The state government shall specify a scheme to ensure the implementation of rights of victims and witnesses. Addition of section 18A in original act. क्योंकि 18 को निकाल दिया गया था एक जजमेंट में, तो फिर उसके बाद जल्दी से उन्होंने पार्लियामेंट ने सेक्शन 18A ला दिया था उसमें. For the Prevention of Atrocities Act, the preliminary inquiry shall not be required for registration of a first information report against any person. The provision of section 438, that is anticipatory bail of the Code of Criminal Procedure, shall not apply to a case under the Act, notwithstanding any judgment or order or direction of any court. Implications, अगर हम बात करते हैं like for current efforts to dilute Act, तो Article 46 enables the state to promote with special care the educational and economic interest of the weaker sections of the society and to promote them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Any efforts on the part of SC/STs to secure their constitutional right is visited with severe reprisals, mass arson, social and economic boycott, and various kinds of humiliation. The same judgment in November 2020, Honorable Supreme Court said that all insults or intimidation against the SC or STs will not be an offense under the Act unless such insult or intimidation is on account of victim belonging to scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. Next is because of the just position of the powerful and powerless in India's caste system in every village, it is very difficult to secure proper investigation and quick and successful trial. And it is empowering, powerful to the court. It could, according to data, 78% of such cases of rape are turned down by the investigating agencies and are termed as filing of false cases due to personal vendetta. Prosecutors and judges fail to vigorously and faithfully perceive complaints brought by SCs and STs, which is evidenced by high rate of acquittals in such cases. There is lack of proper investigation. Apparently, such cases where two rights conflicts, that is the protection of civil rights and the protection of minorities against atrocities. Articles 14, 19, and 11, which grant civil liberties, are only to be read with respect to their intersection with Article 15 and 17. The doctrine of proportionality is applied to such cases wherein it is seen by the court that which rights should be upheld in the present case scenario. These articles of the Constitution are not discussed in the judgment at any point with reference to discrimination on the basis of caste. In its place, comparisons are made between the penal provisions of the Atrocities Act and those of the Unlawful Activities Act, TADA, and offenses under the narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, etc., particularly in terms of anticipatory bail. The concept
Right,
of anticipatory...
Can I intervene, Payal?
Yes.
Can you please summarize it a bit more to quickly finish so that we can go to the next speaker?
I'm on the verge of finishing on Nidhi.
Thank you, Payal. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no issues. The concept of anticipatory bail was introduced for the first time on the recommendation of 41st Law Commission in 1973, and therefore it is a right that is not imperative to a person's existence. Further, the same type of exclusion is present in the statute as well. The constitutionality of this was challenged with respect to the terrorist and disruptive activities, that is TADA, which, like the Atrocities Act, is also a special law. The constitutional bench of the apex court in the Kartar Singh case held that the exclusion was valid. The atrocities judgment has only made a passing reference to the aforementioned judgment and has not really looked into the essence of why anticipatory bail was to be denied in such social welfare legislation. D.
Thank you so much, Payal. Sorry, I had to interrupt you, but I'll come back to you in the next round. What is important, which you have also put forth, is how a particular law, which is very clearly focusing on the variety of manifestation of violence. It's like a comprehensive ways in which Dalits are, facing exclusion and violence. Those aspects have been covered in the SC/ST atrocities laws. But there is an effort to dilute some of the provisions in a very different manner, which you brought out very nicely in terms of how the variety of judgments are trying to, make these dilutions and compare it with other laws, which of course cannot be done and should not be done, because the specificity of this law is attached to the kind of discrimination and harassment that Dalits, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes face. Thank you so much. We will go on to the second round later on. Let me now bring in Sujata, Professor Sujata Surapalli, who is an academic and activist and who has hands down experience in not just working with cases of sexual violence, but she also brings it into the academia in terms of her own activism. And she's also been a part of a variety of campaigns. So I would like to ask you, Professor Sujata, how in your experience, both in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, where you've been intensively working, what is the ways in which the access to justice for Dalits and Dalit women who are facing sexual violence is subverted, and what is the suggestion at this point? What is the situation? Can you also give some illustrations of the cases that you have handled, one or two, to also highlight this subversion?
Yeah. Thank you, Shirley. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
So first, I would like to go on this title, why caste-based violence, sexual violence, right? So I think we have to discuss about why sexual violence on Dalit women, why they can beat or they can abuse or something, but why it's sexual violence. See, this society is, I always say, it's a sex-obsessed society, like, So if you see the Joginis and Devdasis, the system of, prostitution attached to the Dalit and a very marginalized woman, that the society wants the sexual needs for upper caste, and they want these marginalized women to serve them like that. So the taboos around sex also, make these women to be a publicly available goods for all those men in the village, and this happens publicly. This, in quotes, if I say publicly, if you see Khairlanji, if you see kind of any public gang rapes, it happens in daylight. It won't happen when somebody is going with a boyfriend in a midnight in a bus, or somebody is waiting on the road, and somebody is who is is sexual in the midnight, a man's urge for a sex. It never happens on Dalit women. It never happens on a marginalized woman. The sexual violence, like we have histories of cutting nose when somebody is expressing, the culture, expressing love, and that is legalized, that is accepted by all. So that, let us not forget the roots and the socialization that all these years were traditionally, culturally. Any rape, if you take it, in my experience, go to police station, this aurat ka, character is bad, it comes from there. Whether even husband ka hai, whatever, even in the most of the cases, to abuse a woman, they use a sex as a weapon. So characterless is the first thing. And my problem is not that is what is assigned to us, but the entire society is witnessing that. So Khairlanji, people, all women witness, all men witness, and any caste violence is the public witness. So when it is legalized, legitimized, okay, you can beat them, you can rape them, you can kill them, you can, do anything with them. So it's generally with the Dalits, and Dalit women, it is first case. It comes to her. If a boy eloped, if a Dalit boy eloped, bring his sister or a mother, and abuse first. If you see, even in the extramarital affairs or a love relationship, if it is especially a Dalit woman, they first remove clothes. And we also have these in most of the sarpanches, village pradhans. If you see, we have case studies of nudely, parading them in the villages, because if they, so we are, caste itself is a rape culture, kind of a sexually obsessed thing, which is attached to the most vulnerable, who is obviously a Dalit woman. So from there, after 89, after Chunduru and Karamchedu and everything, we, even in Telangana, the feudal state, if a Dora is a Lord feud calls any woman, and she has to silently go and to them, and that was a tradition is coming up. So one thing, even in after 70 plus years of independent freedom, modernity, what not, shining India, what India, but this model is not changing. This pattern of the perspective is not changing. And however literacy rate increases, I'm so curious for ages. Every year I see the atrocity cases on women, and every Women's Day I used to have a NCRB record, and every time it increases. Every time it increases. I've never seen a year which decreases. It's happening from my student days. What that indicates? That indicates that the other side is not changed. Movement for me is something that you have to, you have to influence law, you have to influence the processes, everything, and at least you have to influence the sensible, what Ambedkar said, with education you can learn this, you can, you'll be sensitive enough to understand things. No, the education and the modernity and the current mainstream politics are consolidating caste. The vote bank based on caste, your policies are caste based, and when everything is caste based, the taboos around Dalit women, the sexual violence about Dalit women. If you see the land struggles, if there is a single woman, there is 99% of sexual abuse in the villages, you know. And some castes are not only sexual prostitutes like Devdasis and Joginis, but also, you know, these black magicians, you know, some women and some castes. And recently, in last week, a man was pricking her teeth. That man is obviously, the villagers, entire village is witnessing in Telangana. And because fear of black magic or some rumors around that, by the husband, you know, now the people are very clever enough. If it is done by the others, there will be atrocity act, right? So then they use the family members like a Khairlanji, you know, asking brothers to rape her, you know, like that. So the act which is framed just now, like Payal was saying, now I just spoke to you why sexual violence, because sexual violence is something that to do with untouchability, something to do with culturally obsessed, you know, it has to be in the night with the legally wedded people or whatever. Now in the process, what happens, nobody bothers about the rape victim or a sexual violence victim, but everybody except leaving this family and a woman comes to one place to protect the culprit. You know, that filing an FIR case is a big thing in an Indian society. You can rape women, you can kill women, you can gang rape women, you can butcher their parts and do anything, everything. But everybody says that, oh, atrocity case file ho jayega to andar jayega. So that will be a very shameful thing. See our perception about the crime. It's not a woman, it's not a girl. It's because of this obsessed sexual attitude that now 9 months old baby is raped, 6 years baby is raped, 90 years woman is raped. And if you see the caste statistics, and obviously 90% these are the Dalit women, because they don't have proper houses, they don't, you know, they sleep outside. And the major reason to me appears to be like nobody comes to rescue them, no, because it's a silence. That's what I was talking. It's not a Nirbhaya, and it's not the lockup death of Mariamma, which we are dealing now. Simply a church father was angry, he complained, and 6 policemen beating one tiny 43 years Dalit woman who was a cook in a church father's house, was brutally beaten and killed in the police station. And there's a huge silence, you know, where silence a few 2 years back, Disha thing happened. Entire society is like furiously shivering with the, you know, anger, and immediately police commissioner went and without even having a case and process, they encounter all 3 innocent or culprits. We don't know, because when we visited their houses, none of them have any criminal record. They are just 21, 20, first time working, and nobody knows whether they are trying to hide any big thing. So see we are also untouchable to the justice. We are also untouchable to the mechanism. We are also untouchable to the movements, and we are also untouchable to the perceptions. So that is what I was continuously talking. It is not the violence, but the silence of the people is very, very hurting to us. Our own women fraternity, our own activism fraternity, our own political people, because injustice is injustice. It happened to a Dalit woman, maybe a tribal woman. But when we are sharing our concerns, when we stood in a Mandal reservation, when we stood in environmental protests, when we stood in every sort of movements in this country, but when it comes to a Dalit woman or a Dalits, nobody comes. It's only end of the day 4 blue flags and 4 Dalit women, or like Manju or somebody, some concerned people. And it's unlike Black Lives Matter, where you can see white people also supporting them, right? So we failed to, perhaps, I don't know how to put it, but we failed to mobilize people around the caste issues and the sexual violence. And the second thing is, whenever there's a sexual violence, immediately the women of the other caste also tries to come and protect that person. This is a very strange feature, and I don't know where we failed, our literature or our education or our socialization. And one of the act, what Payal was saying, that if FIR is delayed, the case will be filed on the officers, right? So first of all, to file an FIR, we have to do big dharnas and protests, and Mariamma case, I was talking about this lockup death case. First of all, case was not filed. It was filed by the policeman saying that it was a cardiac arrest. Whereas entire her daughter, her son, her village people, everybody witnessed the brutality about her. And we are again asking them, file an FIR, file an FIR. Yeah, FIR, even if file and they don't file the Atrocity Act, because then again we have to see atrocity, and 90% people, I don't know whether they are ignorant about the Atrocity Act or they want to get out of the act. Only one abusive, you bitch or something with the caste name only, that attracts the FIR, Atrocity Act. Not any other kind of, even if you do any other mistake. A police writer will say that, no, abhi ye likhiye ki atrocity lagane ko, did I say Mala Madiga? I didn't say Mala Madiga, so there will not be any Atrocity Act. I mean, all other things will nullify. They only know that Mala Madiga or a bitch or something you have to use. So poorest of the poor do not know how to file an FIR with atrocity. Whereas we are saying any SC, ST comes to your police station, please treat it as a atrocity. बाद में तुम कुछ भी करो. You do anything after the investigation or whatever, but that never happens. So filing an FIR is a big thing. Filing an atrocity is a big thing. Even if FIR and atrocity happens, then arrest will not happen, because by the time, if it is another person about to arrest, lot of negotiations, threatenings, co-optings and, offerings, anything comes. End of the day, they say, even it happened in Rohit Vemla case. Radhika Amma, after Rohit Vemla passed away, her character has been assassinated. She married to a BC and she's claiming. So the sexual violence not only is the physical act of sex, but also the continuation of character assassination, entire dealing of the case. So most of the people not filing atrocity case and fighting the case just because of the fear of continuous haunting of the abuses, and that is for me more than a sexual rape. 2-3 minutes or a half an hour it will finish, but post, when you are fighting the case, abuses continues and remarks continues. And we see many people where in the North India, Bihar, Gujarat, UP is a regular act, right? So anybody wants to take a revenge or have a sex or want a woman, anything can happen there. So Hathras is if anybody wants to know the process in India, Hathras is the right way, how difficult it is, how government officials go to the victims and how entire society turns to against them and convince them. So the filing and the judgment, what we did was 2-3 times, we did the re-postmortem of the bodies and all, and the re-postmortem reports never come to the court. Years and years they'll pass by, but they will perfectly see that they will not come to the court. And we are survival struggle, and we are facing the burden of everything and children education. And if you see the most low paid, unpaid jobs anywhere in India, it is a Dalit women. ANM, village nurses, they are never paid. Scavengers is heinous. And if you see, I worked in this pandemic with the bricklins, and my heart cried for I don't know how many nights, how brutally the bricklin people were lifted from the Orissa and keep it like, they don't, bricks they don't make, they themselves, their bodies into the fire, and many rape cases we addressed, many child abuses we have addressed, but I don't know why India will not find any solution to replace the brick industry. and there the women are like and that is a coterie that where revenue, police, and the contractor, and nobody, they
Yes.
don't allow even NGOs and activists like us, and 90% of them are Dalits or Adivasis, are
Or
the
Adivasis,
nomadic
yeah.
tribes. Just
True.
20,000 rupees, 30,000, ये slavery से भी worst है, but we don't talk about that because we don't even abolish those kind of a scavenging. 99% scavengers are women, 99% road sweepers are women, 90% sanitary medical persons in the office, IMs and attenders in the hospitals are women who never took a single day break in the pandemic. Stay home, stay home. Where is the home for us? होम ही नहीं है तो स्टे होम से कहाँ से आते हैं? So that's what I wrote in EPW. So there is the entire painful process and not having 1%, 2% of conviction rate because of all these things. When society is not, that's why perhaps Baba Saheb Ambedkar was dreaming about annihilation of caste. And caste battles, with all due respects to my Dalit movements and male leaders, that the entire Dalit movement revolves around reservation, revolves around subplan, revolves around whatever they want, some political reservations. Where is the woman there? And again, we have to talk about our own women. Manjula has to start a women leaders thing, and we have to talk like this. I'm sorry taking longer time, and because the process is
Yes.
failed due to so many things. Everything. Police department is caste based. I wrote this in an open in Facebook, and a policeman files a case against me saying my sentiments were hurt. What did I do? I wrote why this happening, and because of the caste discrimination, police is not filing this case on him or this or that. Anyway,
Yeah,
so I'm very
thank you,
sorry. I
Sujata.
come to very emotional and
No,
when I talk to-
absolutely. There's so much to tell and talk, and there is so much experience that you have. I really appreciate how beautifully you said that one thing, that despite education, modernity, everything, all these elements are actually now consolidating caste in our society. They're consolidating and reaffirming the dominant caste groups, and actually increasing exclusion and atrocity against Dalits, and how the law in itself is getting subverted. Those illustrations that you gave, and it has been very beautifully put. I was actually taking in all this whole thing about sexual slavery and sex as a taboo. While all Dalit women are available to dominant caste groups as for sexual slavery, it is not how tradition has continued side by side time simultaneously with so-called modernity. That's a question that this question is for our entire society, and it should be reflected upon by the dominant caste groups. That what is it that you are saying about modernity? Are we really modern? That's a question that we need to. And then, if you are, then what is that modernity that you're talking about? If you are continuing with sexual slavery. So thanks a lot about for bringing that aspect.
One thing, Civil, I want to
Yes,
add
yes, yes.
just 1 second. When I say consolidating caste, as Ambedkar said, caste it is also not only graded inequality, but also gender subjugation and also sexual imposing the sexual violence in general on women and more on the Dalit women. So that is what consolidation means about. Not just take untouchability. No, it's untouchability in several forms and ways we have to face.
Yeah. And the whole element of public display of that sexual violence, that is very typical of all violence that is perpetrated. So it's like a public display of sexual slavery, and the legal system, the police, all are bystanders. Worse than that, general society is a bystander to that. So where is the moral fabric, or even feeling shamed as a society? Unlike where you see white people standing side by side when it comes to Black Lives Matter, and they are taking that introspection. Our society is not introspecting at all. So that's something
At
that is a very crucial thing that we need to really think and take forward in our campaign that we want to do and have a discussion on. So I will go on to the questions on the in the second round, though we are little running out of time, but very quickly, Savita, Payal, Sujata, I will ask you to summarize in one line as to one
Yeah.
or two lines quickly. कि सविता आप काफी चैलेंज फेस करती है एज एन एक्टिविस्ट, पर आप क्या रिकमेंडेशन ये सब जो पुलिस, मेडिकल प्रोफेशन, जुडिशरी को इनको सही तरीके से कानून को इम्प्लीमेंट करना और इसको सही मायने में जस्टिस प्रोवाइड करना दलित महिलाओं को, क्या रिकमेंडेशन आप देना चाहेंगे? सविता, आपको अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा अपने आप को।
जी, सॉरी, थैंक यू।
It's
मैं ये
okay.
बोल रही हूँ कि अगर हमारे पास एक कानून है और बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग चीज है SC/ST एक्ट, वो अगर अच्छे से इम्प्लीमेंट होता है स्टेट में, हमारे जो भी इंडिया के सभी स्टेट्स हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि कुछ हद तक हम न्याय को पा सकते हैं। लेकिन जो जुडिशरी और जो पुलिस का एक रवैया और रूप देखने को मिलता है, वहां पे मुझे लगता है कि उनको ट्रेनिंग्स की बहुत जरूरत है। मैं हमेशा हर मीटिंग्स में बोलती हूँ कि जो जेंडर इक्वालिटी की ट्रेनिंग है वो मेल पुलिस को, फीमेल पुलिस को जरूर देनी चाहिए। वो किसी भी माध्यम से हो, कोई भी दे, बट वो एक बनता है कि नहीं, वहां पे वो एक जरूरत है, ताकि महिला से किस तरह से बात करनी है, उसके केस को कैसे आगे लेके जाना है, कुछ हद तक वो थोड़ा सही हो पाए। और दूसरा, अगर पुलिस से सही टाइम पे अरेस्टिंग या फिर सेक्शंस नहीं लगाती, या फिर सर्वाइवर को भी बहुत, तो नेग्लिजेंस जो सेक्शन 4 है उसका ज्यादा से ज्यादा इम्प्लीमेंट और उसके ऊपर एक्शन लेना चाहिए। जो हायर अथॉरिटी है उनको, वो थोड़ी जुडिशरी जाए या फिर थ्रू हायर ऑफिसर्स। तो मेरे 2 ही रिकमेंडेशन है। और साथ साथ में जो SC/ST एक्ट एक एक्ट है, बट उसके अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। स्पेशल PP है, कंपनसेशन है, विक्टिम को प्रोटेक्शन है, सर्वाइवर को प्रोटेक्शन है। तो अगर ये एक एक चीज करके हम उसको इम्प्लीमेंट अच्छे से करवाते हैं, अगर ये वो हो पाता है, तो कुछ हद तक जो सर्वाइवर है उनमें कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा और वो अपने केस को अच्छे से लंबे टाइम तक लड़ सकते हैं। क्योंकि जो हमारी कानूनी प्रक्रिया है वो बहुत लेंथी है, बहुत लंबी प्रक्रिया हो जाती है। तो मुझे लगता है कि वो चीजें होने चाहिए, उनसे कंप्रोमाइजेस भी कम होंगे। जो कंप्रोमाइज का हमेशा टैग और ठप्पा लग जाता है हमारे सर्वाइवर के ऊपर, और चीजें कुछ हद तक सही हो सकती है।
धन्यवाद सविता। पायल, आपसे भी यही सवाल है पायल जी, कि ये जो एक्ट है आपने बताया कि काफी मजबूत है, तो लीगल इंस्टीट्यूशंस, लॉ कॉलेजेस इसको पढ़ाते क्यों नहीं है, और इसको सही मायने में परकुलेट तो थ्रू कॉलेजेस, एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन से होना चाहिए। तो आपके पास क्या रिकमेंडेशन है कि इसको किस प्रकार से आगे ले जाया जा सकता है थ्रू दिस इंस्टीट्यूशंस? और लीगल एड के बारे में जरूर बताइएगा कि लीगल एड किस प्रकार से इंस्टीट्यूशंस को, इट्स मैंडेटरी लॉ इंस्टीट्यूशंस को, तो दलित महिलाओं के लिए कैसे उपलब्ध कराया जाए।
आपने बहुत एक्चुअली गहरा सवाल पूछ लिया, क्योंकि कास्टिज्म ऐसी चीज है ना बीच में, कि वो प्रॉपर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होने ही नहीं देती है। क्योंकि डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने बहुत अच्छे से कहा है कि द टेस्ट ऑफ एनीथिंग कैन बी चेंज्ड बट द पॉइजन कैन नॉट बी चेंज्ड इनटू नेक्टर। तो सबसे पहले अगर प्रॉपर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन क्यों नहीं होता, इट इज ड्यू टू द अनचेंज्ड attitude of society towards SCs and STs. दूसरी बात अगर हम देखते हैं तो rampant corruption in such cases by the investigating agencies need to be curbed. फिर तीसरी बात ऐसी आती है कि स्टेट लेवल कमेटी की मीटिंग्स होनी चाहिए, जिसको हेड हर एक स्टेट का CM करता है, और डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर्स होते हैं वो उसके पार्ट होते हैं। आप देखोगे ना तो ये सेल्डम ऐसी कोई मीटिंग होती है, 2 ऐसी मीटिंग करना अनिवार्य है। Section 16 which gives state government to impose collective fines has never been invoked despite prevalence of discrimination and untouchability across India. it should be invoked everywhere. फिर Rule 8 of Atrocities Act requires a state to set up SC/ST protection cell of the state at the state headquarters under the charge of DGP, ADGP या फिर IGP, but there is hardly any information in public domain. So if this protection cells would have functioned effectively, the number of atrocities could have be lessened or decreased. जो प्रॉपर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करने के जो है लाइक लीगल इसमें बोला जाए स्पेशल कोर्ट्स, जजेस, पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर्स शुड बी इनका लाइक शुड बी देयर इन एवरी डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफ एवरी स्टेट. फिर इस एक्ट को प्रॉपरली इम्प्लीमेंट उसके हिसाब से ही जैसे उसमें लिखा गया उसी के हिसाब से करना चाहिए. और एक बात बोलना चाहूंगी इसमें कि गवर्नमेंट शुड ऑर्गेनाइज serious discussions or debates and training for police officers and administration as well as prosecution. ये होता है बट इसको बहुत सीरियसली नहीं लिया जाता है. अगर ये किया जाए और इसका रिजल्ट उनके अप्रेजल में हो तो सारे लोग सारे ये जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स है वो बहुत अच्छे से ये ट्रेनिंग और डिस्कशन डिबेट्स में पार्ट लेना चाहेंगे. फिर आपने जब ये क्यों नहीं इवन आप अगर देखो LLB के कोर्स में या LLM के कोर्स में आपको SC/ST एक्ट कहीं ज्यादा दिखाई नहीं देता है. कुछ केसेस आ जाती हैं IPC CRPC को लेके, उसके अंदर जो भी उसमें दिखाया जाता है 376 में वगैरह उसमें ही कुछ केसेस आ जाती है. बट SC/ST एक्ट को अगर UGC और BCI प्रॉपरली उसका एक सिलेबस बना के देश के हर एक यूनिवर्सिटी को उस बोले कि इसको इंक्लूड करना है, इम्प्लीमेंट करना है आपके सिलेबस में, तो ये लोगों को एक वाइड रेंज, एक वाइड ओवरव्यू देगा SC/ST एक्ट क्या है और उसका इन डेप्थ नॉलेज भी देगा.
थैंक यू पायल जी.
लीगल एड
हाँ सविता जी आप कुछ कह रहे थे.
हाँ, पायल की बात में बस थोड़ा सा चीज ये ऐड करना है. आई थिंक दो चीज हैं कि फर्स्ट जैसे अभी मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी की बात कर रहे हैं कि जो हमारे स्टेट मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी है उसमें जो मैनुअल स्क्वेंजिंग एक्ट है उसमें भी एक स्टेट मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी और डिस्ट्रिक्ट मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी को बनाया गया है. उसमें भी जो स्टेट मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी है उसमें खुद जो चेयरपर्सन है वो सीएम होते हैं स्टेट के, उसकी मैं मेंबर हूँ क्योंकि वो प्रैक्टिकली मुझे देखने में मिला है. ये जो साल में 3 बार होती है, 4 बार होती है, लेकिन जो SC/ST एक्ट की मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी हो या फिर मैनुअल स्क्वेंजिंग एक्ट की मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी की मीटिंग हो, बिल्कुल ना के बराबर होती है. क्योंकि मुझे याद है कि हमारी मीटिंग सिर्फ 2015 में एक बार हुई थी, उसके बाद आज 6-7 साल हो गए, अभी तक कोई मीटिंग नहीं हुई है. और मुझे ये भी लगता है कि जो उसमें मेंबर भी होंगे वो भी भूल ही गए होंगे कि हम मेंबर हैं कमेटी के, ऐसा कुछ होता है. तो जितना नजरअंदाज सरकार इन चीजों को बना के और कर रही है तो वो चीज बहुत जरूरत है कि उसको कैसे देखना चाहिए हम लोगों को भी.
जी थैंक यू सविता जी. पायल लीगल एड के बारे में आप कुछ कहने वाली थी. तो
लीगल एड महिलाओं के लिए जो विक्टिम्स है उनके लिए तो सरकार को पूरा प्रोटेक्शन के साथ उनको लीगल हर एक चीज फ्री में देनी चाहिए, देते भी है. बट बहुत सारे उसमें भी इश्यूज आते हैं. और नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या था, भूल गई.
बस मैंने यही पूछा था लीगल एड का किस प्रकार से अवेलेबिलिटी करा जा सकता है टू फॉर दीज काइंड ऑफ विक्टिम्स, बिकॉज ये भी देखा गया है कि लीगल एड उनको लीगल काउंसिल नहीं मिलता है. इमीडिएट लीगल काउंसिल जो मिलना चाहिए उनको वो सपोर्ट नहीं मिलता. हाँ
जी.
सो आई विल हाईलाइट दैट. थैंक यू पायल. I would now like to ask Sujata ki, what is the role of what do you think should be the academic institutions and civil society organizations do to support, be more supportive, be there available for Dalit women victims. It's very important and they seem to be completely absent. So what is your recommendation?
Yeah, see, as you said in the introduction that I always try to, even in this pandemic also I wrote about this, Dalits, and it should be looked from caste and gender Dalit perspective, even the pandemic. So, oh my God. So I would say that from the school onwards, the caste studies should be made, should be introduced to the children, because we are anyway caste society, and we teach them how to practice the untouchability and all. But at least from other side, that understanding about the caste should be introduced. But as far as I know, even this current regime, they removed everything, even small lessons of Ambedkar and all that from the places. So academics, education of caste should start from the school. And I also say most of the institutions do have women's studies, but I don't know how many of them really have Dalit women's studies as a part of that. So my experience over a decade and a half, that neither Women's Commission nor Human Rights Commission nor SC Commission look into the deep, tragedies and hurt of Dalit women, and Dalit women should be looked at different ways, because
Yes.
on a labor perspective, on a sex thing, the violence perspective, and all perspectives. So when me and Rajni was partly in the National Women's Commission, my recommendation was to have a Dalit Women's Commission separately, because at least you should, I don't believe, of course, in these commissions, but at least there will be some report and some, speedy addressal mechanism, right? And also in every university, they should have caste. Ambedkar studies we are saying, Dalit studies we are saying, but now exclusion and inclusion departments were closed down in many universities. But we have to include our regular battles into the academics, and not much research has been done on the caste and violence and Dalit women. Very strange, but because probably these are not job oriented, or these are not very palatable, very pleasing things to understand. So not many methodologies were developed. So at least people like us should, my PhD is on Dalit women empowerment. But at that time also I was struggling for literature and all. Fortunately now some literature is coming up. We have to have probably from this forum Dalit women studies, or Dalit Dalit women studies or resource centers, where we have at least a documentation where the intensity or the forms of violence we are facing, where we are increasing, where we are failing, all this should be publicly available, not four of us sitting here and talking about our grievances for ever the same, re-recording repeated things. So we have to have our own a place, a center of studies for us on the caste-based violence and on Dalit women. And I also am proposing, like many interviews, people ask me that you people are not aware of Atrocities Act or women's rights, and I said, if government really sensitive enough, really want to address these issues, they should make like the polio drops, how we like voting, how every 10 minutes you get a message, you get a ad, you see in the TV. So if they have to, none of our government, state governments or central government have any agenda of annihilation of caste. Caste has been reduced to the poverty elevation programs, and it is just reservation thing, but not the cultural roots of caste, religious roots of caste, understanding the caste-based violence, and even our programs like housing and land allotments, everything is caste-based, and we are not even touched. So I propose that like a HRD, like we should have a resource study center or a policy making center where, and my all-time recommendation and demand and proposal was, in every Dalit related scheme, whether it is subplan or any corporation loans or any government loans, non-negotiable 50% for the Dalit women. That is That's all. Then otherwise, if it is SC corporation, then obviously it is a male. It is hardly anything to do with women. So academics have to discuss about it, and every village should have a grievance cell, like, to address these village level or some kind of a mechanism. And I'm also, widely thinking, why don't we have some kind of a toll number or a helpline number where if we call that number, like blacks in America, if I remember correctly, that, and it should be an automatic registration of FIR. Forget about baad mein you go and you inquire it and you remove it, and that is that. But it should be recorded, and that should be available to the people. Otherwise, people from Delhi, from here, and even incidents like Hathras, they don't even allow us. So we have to have continuous awareness programs, and all the commissions or human rights or women's commission or any commission should have a caste sensitive people. I read somewhere that file should tell me 30 people or relatives were recruited in the law somewhere in which Gujarat or I don't know where. So not because you are a relative then you be a lawyer and you're a judge and all, but some sensitive, caste sensitive people should be appointed, and that we have to be given a chance. Even see, if you see the current trend last 5 years, all these years I used to think that only so-called left to radical revolutionary people will be targeted by the government. No, last 4-5 years, only people who are talking about caste, fighting caste, they have to fight the moment I say caste, it is directly hitting one religion. It is directly questioning the mainstream politics. Then I'm when I say something against the state or some party, then I'm say I'm an anti-national. Then obviously the entire thing is converted against the activists, against activists. So I mean, the confrontation is directly with the state in all the caste struggles, and there should be a mechanism to protect activists and also fund activists, and there should be regular studies and sensitization programs and cells and commissions and toll numbers, and I have plenty of lists. So but yeah, dreams perhaps.
Long
So
way, but really, there's lots to do, and lots that are also emerging from your experience of working on these cases.
yeah.
And your own experience. So it's and these are very doable recommendations actually.
Doable,
if there is
yes.
a will to take it forward. So for us in the campaign, I think we need to really plan out for the council also. We need to plan out that what are we going to take forward from these recommendations. So thank you so much, Sujata. Every time I listen to you, I listen to Savita and Payal, I get inspired and more ideas, and I feel also motivated that yes, we are moving forward and we will. We're not going to sit quiet and say that what is happening, let it happen. So that is very important. So thank you so much, Manjula Bed. I would like to for you to talk about the campaign now as a how we are taking forward some of these things which we are talking about at this point.
I'm really quite inspired by whatever all of you spoke, and I think Savita, Payal, Sujata, and you, Shivli, I think we all are a great team, and we have several more like us in our National Council of Women Leaders. I think a campaign jo hai, it is so important for all of us, as you have said so many things, Sujata and other friends, and I think the recommendations are important for all of us to move ahead. I just want to lay forward the need for the campaign, as we already have highlighted the issues related to Dalit women. तो एक चीज है कि I think what we are trying to bring out is that Dalit women are also an integral part of the Indian society, and because of the intersectionality which is laid around their bodies and their lives of caste, class, and gender, similar to the Black women in the US, I think we have to bring out what are the core concerns. And one of the major aspects related to the lives of Dalit women and girls is sexual violence, which many of us have already shared. So I don't want to go into what are the issues, but I think I want to point is that one is the entire question of state impunity. वो बहुत जरूरी है कि किस तरह से प्रशासन की निष्क्रियता है जिसकी वजह से ये जो पूरी स्थिति है वो डामाडोल है, बहुत ही करुणदायक है. एंड as the NCRB's 2019 data says that every day 10 Dalit women and girls are being raped. It's not only rape, it's gang rape, it's also rape and murder, it's sexual trafficking, everything. And what Sujata also said about temple prostitution, Devdas, everything is there. So the point is, where do we start with? And we all know we are in the midst of Corona. We are in a situation that we can't protest because of the pandemic. So the best way we thought was to organize a social media campaign. तो ये सोशल मीडिया कैंपेन जो हम शुरू करने जा रहे हैं 19 जुलाई से इस साल के, and it will go on for 1.5 months. So it will go on until 31st August. And I think this campaign will bring out specific issues related to the forms of sexual violence, the patterns of sexual violence, किस तरह से जो घटनाएं बनी है उसमें स्टेट का क्या रवैया है, पुलिस का क्या रवैया, जुडिशरी का क्या रवैया है, किस तरह से इन महिलाओं के साथ जोर जबरदस्ती की जाती है, कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने के लिए इन्हें दबाया जाता है, उन्हें कहा जाता है कि अगर तुम्हें इस गांव में रहना है तो तुम्हें इन सब चीजों को स्वीकार के ही जीना पड़ेगा, as what our friends are saying. So the point is कि क्या करने वाले हम 1.5 महीने में. इस 1.5 महीने में हम लैंडमार्क केसेस को हाईलाइट करेंगे. आप सब जानते हैं भवरी देवी का केस राजस्थान से जहां से शुरू हुआ, एंड यू ऑल नो दैट वी हैड विशाखा गाइडलाइंस, नाउ वी हैव प्रिवेंशन ऑफ सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट एट वर्क प्लेस. सब हो गया लेकिन उन्हें न्याय नहीं मिला. तो 1985 और भवरी देवी का 90s का केस है. 85 से लेकर 2020 was the last year, was what we were talking about, हाथरस. तो सारे इकट्ठे हो गए, सब शोर मचाने लगे, but nobody is now discussing what is happening to the case. I think the point for us to raise this issue through the social media campaign is we want Dalit women to get justice and they can live with dignity and self-respect. I think ये सबसे important है, और ये चीज को highlight करने के लिए and saying that कि वो जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं कि their bodies are not there to be just abused and raped. They are human beings. Dalit women rights are human rights. I think this is what we want. We want this issue to become a national issue. And we need national and international solidarity. So social media campaign for us is a weapon, is a way we want to highlight the different forms of sexual violence against Dalit women and girls. We will be covering 16 states. We are covering North, we are covering South, we are covering West, we are covering East, right? So it is so important for all of us. We all have documented 70 cases during the span of last 5 years. And what is the status of these cases? Or there are 12 landmark cases which will be highlighted. And these are landmark cases where in most of the cases, there has been no justice to these girls, to these women. And I think this is very important for all of us. We want to give a hope to the survivors of sexual violence. We want to ensure that media will understand and will also take this social media into attention. We want solidarity and support from the civil society. We want the support and solidarity from national networks, international networks. We want support from all feminists who believe in the essence of humanity, who believe in equality for all women across communities. And I think this is the right time for us to take forward this campaign. And I will just want to say that we also want to put forward recommendations, as Sujata was saying, to the policymakers. We want to also put recommendations to the government authorities and also to the civil society. And what we aim to achieve is we want to build a movement around sexual violence to end it. I think we want to end sexual violence against Dalit women and girls. And that's the motive behind organizing this campaign and making people understand that how important it is to show solidarity, to stop this kind of violence. We don't want this violence to continue. We want to prevent it and we want to end it. And that's why we are coming up with few hashtags. And I think all of us would be showing the placard also. But I just want to say is, when the UN says in their SDG, in the Sustainable Development Goals, leave no one behind, we want to say leave no Dalit woman behind. I think that's very important. It's not only, we don't want our women to be sidelined. We all know that where are our spaces within the feminist movement or within the Dalit rights movement or within any movement. So we want to take the center stage. We want to bring the issues of Dalit women in the center stage. And this is the beginning of the first campaign of National Council of Women Leaders. We will be coming up with many more campaigns around the issues of tribal women, around the issues of Muslim women, trans women, and rights of sexual workers. So Shivli, this is what I want to say to everybody who is watching us on social media, that please support us. Just share, amplify this. This is so important for all of us. It's not for only Dalit women, but it is for the entire humanity. And if we believe in humanity, and if we want to end the subjugation operation of Dalit women, just please show your solidarity. And we want that solidarity and support from all of you.
Thank you, Manjula. And I think that is the essence of our campaign. We are ambitious, we are pained, we are angry, but we also live in hope that all of you will join us in this campaign. All of you will recognize that it should not be an invisible issue. It is time that we reflected on the caste within us and throw it out. And we also recognize and acknowledge that Dalit women have sacrificed, they are giving up, they are being violated, and yet we are not visibilizing it. We are not acknowledging the presence in our own backyard. And it's time that we did it. And so please rise with us, please come with us, please join with us on this campaign, and let's start working on stopping caste-based sexual violence. So here we are. This is our, at this point, our request, our slogan. So please join us on this journey to end caste-based discrimination. I'll just share my. I'm trying
and
to
our
share my screen.
hashtag, yes, our hashtag is end caste-based sexual violence. So all of us, if we can show
I'm
that.
sorry, my one is not showing, but I'm with you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So friends, as we are ending this Facebook Live, we all want to thank you for watching us, listening to us, and understanding that how important this campaign is for the lives of Dalit women and girls. Jai Bhim!
Jai Bhim!
Zindabad!
Zindabad!
Zindabad. Jai Bhim.
Bye, all of you.
Bye.